to Wellness Wave Radio. Thanks for tuning in this morning to ride the wave with us. Each week our goal is to give you at least one suggestion that will make your life a little better. My name is Phil George. I'm a clinical biochemist, a certified personal trainer, and health coach. Please remember that everything we discuss on this show is for informational purposes only and should not be taken as medical advice. Always seek the guidance of your doctor. I just want to mention I also have a radio show on WCRN, also on YouTube. So if you type in Wellness Wave Radio, I'll pop up. We have all kinds of videos. Actually, all the videos are from these particular shows. So we have everything basically, categorized in there. You can see whatever your high blood pressure, cancer, or whatever you're interested in. So that's on YouTube. Just type in Wellness Wave Radio. Or a lot of people on my radio show anyway, they email me questions. And actually, I had a really good one just yesterday. I had somebody email me. No, actually, they called into the show and they talked about how they avoided having a stroke because their carotid arteries were basically clogged up, and they kind of avoided it. So I sent it. We had Dr. Roos on the show. In fact, he's on YouTube. He was here. He was here a few weeks ago. A vascular surgeon talking about that. And I got the clip from this guy. His name was Jack. He emailed in how it saved his life. In fact, the doctor said he had 90% blockage in his carotids. We did a whole show on that. And also Art was on that too, because Art's had some carotid work done on himself, which worked out very well, fortunately. And I took the clip out, and Jack, who had his carotids cleaned out, had mentioned the vascular surgeon that did it. Dr. Roos is in a very large group. He's pretty much all over New England, but I think his office is in Sturbridge. And so he looked it up, and actually one of his colleagues actually did the surgery. So he was pleased. So Jack, worked out pretty well for Jack. So again, any questions about anything? And what I mentioned to Jack too when he called in on the live line is, you could have saved a lot of people's strokes because they maybe will go ahead and do this procedure and avoid a stroke because your carotid arteries are kind of like a water pipe. You may turn the water on, it gets a little bit less and less and less coming out, and all of a sudden it clogged up. And Jack said he actually had no symptoms of a stroke at all, no symptoms of blockage, anything. It happened that they happened to do this. It's called a carotid ultrasound. Ultrasound is kind of like, with a baby, they want to see what the baby's going on, or it's just a gel they put on things. It's not invasive or anything else. But it gives you a really good indication of whether or not you've got blockage in your arteries. So that's one hint I've given you already. Hopefully make your life, maybe save you from a stroke or save you from a heart attack. You need to check those carotids, especially as you get older like me. You've got to be careful. These carotids are going. This show is supposed to have nothing to do with carotid arteries, but I wanted to mention it because, again, it can save a lot of people a lot of aggravation. We're going to try something a little different today. In the past, Art would always change the slides for me. That got kind of confusing because I have to say Art change the slides. So we're trying to do it with a remote. So cross your fingers and let's hope this works. Yay! Okay. No, back up. This is a really good book. It's called Atomic Habits. It's by James Clear. And a good friend of mine, Coach Kane, Jim Kane, one of the top tennis coaches in New England. He'll tell you one of the top tennis coaches in the world, but Jim, I'm going to keep it down to just New England for now. He's been on the show a couple of times. I'm going to have him back in the spring. We're going to, if you're getting ready for tennis and stuff like that, or even pickleball, what we can do is we can give you some hints in terms of making your tennis game a little bit better. So you get some free coaching from Coach Kane. But there's a book by James Clear. What he talks about, if you make small changes to certain things in your day, it can make a tremendous impact. I was mentioning to Lucky before the show is what happens is, again, a small changes over a period of time makes a big difference. A couple of real famous books. One of the old ones is by Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. A lot of people have read that. And the other one is Tools of Titan by Tim Ferriss. And there's a bunch of them like this. What they do is they go around to people that are very, very successful, and they want to know what they do. So if you want to be successful, find somebody else that's successful and kind of try to mimic, get yourself a mentor to mimic their habits. So there's a commonality among these people to where, they do certain things over and over again. The other one I like, a really good movie, if you haven't seen it yet, with Will Smith in Pursuit of Happiness, and it was based on a true story. He basically, he had a young son, he was homeless, he was living in restrooms with his son, and he ran across this guy that was very successful, and the guy took him under his wing and he taught him how to be successful. The other really big one, he's all over the place, is Rich Dad, Poor Dad. He's written a book about that. And when his first father was very poor and was not very successful, but his mother remarried to another husband and a new father for him, and his stepfather was very successful. In his book, he outlines the mistakes he saw that his poor dad did, and the things the rich dad did, and the differences. So again, there's another expression, you're going to be like the most 5 or 6 people you hang around with. So if you hang around with a lot of obese people and they're eating lousy food, more than likely you'll be obese. If you hang around with a lot of people that are healthy and are going to the gym and stuff like that, more than likely you'll pick up those habits. Another interesting study they did in restaurants, or any business actually, and what they found is if you have a low-performing person working next to a person that was performing okay, the person who had good performance, actually their performance went down. And conversely, when you get people that are poor performers and you put them with high performers, their performance goes up. So these are all about habits. And obviously this show is about health and nutrition. But one of the big things is you need habits. You need habits. So that's kind of what we're gonna cover here. Okay, we lost our slides. Okay, well, I'll go slideless. That's okay. Wait a minute. Here we go. Back up, back up, back up. Okay, forward. Okay, so these are habits. Small changes can really change your life. Okay, there's there's something in neurochemistry or neurology. It says that neurons that fire together wire together. If you remember, well, you probably won't because I don't, the first time you learned how to tie your shoe, how onerous that was, how difficult it was to do, or even to teach your kid how to tie a shoe. It's very, very difficult to do because this is a brand new thing. You don't have what they call neural connections into your brain to where you're used to doing a certain thing. Now, right now, I can guarantee you guys, I could blindfold you. Maybe we'll have Art come out, I'll blindfold him, he'll come out, I'll make him tie his shoes, And you can do it basically blindfolded because you got a neural pathway. The pathway is wired into your brain. Again, the neurons that fire together, wire together, so you have a pathway that go along. So once you do the same thing over and over again, what will happen is you'll develop a pathway and it becomes automatic with you. That's why they call it automatic habits. That's something that you can do without even having to think about it. Okay, all right, what's the next slide? Driving a car. I taught my son to drive a car. I taught my daughter to drive. I'm sure most of you people out there have taught your kids to drive a car. But if you think about it, driving a car is extremely difficult, especially in the old days when you had a standard. Remember, you had the clutch and you had the brake. So you had to learn a whole bunch of things and to time the brake with the clutch and everything else, and driving, keeping an eye what's going on, putting on the directionals, backing up. But now, I mean, basically most people can drive a car, again, it's automatic. You don't even think about it. In fact, what will happen if you drive the same route over and over again, you don't have to even think about it. You know the exit 11 off of 290, you know off of 290 you go to 146 or whatever, it's automatic. In fact, I caught myself a couple of times. I'm used to going a very specific route, let's say on the Mass Pike and getting off at the Auburn exit. And actually it was funny because my wife and I were driving one time, and I guess they changed the exits on the Mass Pike, and I hadn't been on the Mass Pike in a really, really long time. So I was looking, and I think they stopped some exit, 146 or Auburn or someplace, and my wife was there, And, and I was looking for the Auburn, for this particular exit we always got off on, and we passed it. We wound up, way, way down, way past our exit. And again, I was an automatic pilot, so my atomic habits, and I did it automatically, and I wasn't thinking about it. But I've even caught myself sometimes, if I get the same route, but I really meant to go somewhere else, I'll forget all about it. I've done that sometimes. When you go off on 495 and you got 290s coming off of it, sometimes if I'm not paying attention, I'll miss the 290 exit and I'll wind up, in Stowe or someplace way, way down the road. So again, we run on these automatic type of habits. So the whole point is you want to develop good habits and not have bad habits. So what we're going to hopefully teach you how to develop good habits and hopefully not bad habits. Okay, so basically what you're doing is you're training your brain. You're training your brain. Again, neurons that fire together, wire together. The more you do it over and over again, the more automatic it becomes. Tying a shoe, driving the car, whatever it is. Interesting, I started doing media about 2 years ago, and in the beginning, obviously, this is brand new for me. I've never done it before. And I had my computer in front of me, and I had my little script that I would read. And now, if you guys remember the old doll, it was called Teddy Ruxpin. You would just press a button and he would talk. A lot of times I felt like I was like Teddy Ruxpin. You just, I get up, I would say it automatically. And now I don't have to even read the script anymore. As you heard in the beginning, welcome back to Wellness Wave Radio, blah, blah, blah. It's automatic with me. I've just said it over and over and over again. And so it's just the repetition. When you're doing it over and over again, it becomes route. It becomes a route memory where you just do it over and over again. Or you also have just different types of gestures that you do. You just do the same things over and over again. Next slide. Does it work on here? Okay, again, this is Donald Hebb. He's a very famous, neurobiologist. And again, this what comes from him, neurons that fire together, wire together. Okay, I should have brought, I have my Becker College tennis jacket over here that I wore. In fact, when I met with I teamed up with another health coach, Kelly Hamilton. We're going to be doing seminars and stuff together. And I wore that when I met her. We went over how we're going to work together. And so Kelly said, that's going to be an antique at some point. I said, well, I am an antique now, so I'm wearing an antique shirt. So going back to my previous life, I taught the Becker College men's tennis team. I taught the Worcester State College tennis team. I gave tennis lessons. I played some very, very serious tennis. Again, I was a tennis coach. And what I found was it was much easier to teach somebody that was a new tennis player than to teach somebody that was actually an old tennis player. Any sport, if you build up, it's basically the neuroplasticity. It's basically it's muscle memory. So if you do the same thing over and over again, the problem is that gets wired into you, and you're going to default to that mode every time. So my most difficult thing as a tennis coach was to have people unlearn their habits. This goes true with anything. You got to unlearn the bad habits. You play golf, you play pickleball, whatever it is. I used to joke with my students. I would say to them, tennis is an unnatural act. If it feels good, you're probably doing it wrong, because golf and tennis is not something you're going to go out there and just pick up on your own. Because first of all, you have to have somebody watch you, and what you think you're doing is entirely different than what you're actually doing. Same thing, I'm also a certified personal trainer. I have a good friend at the gym. His name is Mark. He was a marathoner. The guy's in great shape and everything else. I don't know if you guys are familiar with something called the plank, where you kind of just go straight out like a plank. And Mark is a very seasoned exerciser. And I said to him, Mark, did you know that your rump is way up in the air? Because a plank is supposed to be flat. But Mark could never see himself doing that exercise, so he couldn't see what he was doing wrong. Same thing with coaching tennis, pickleball, golf, you name it, whatever sport it is. Unless somebody watches you, you need somebody, a professional, watching you to see what you're doing. As a certified trainer, a lot of times I'll work with somebody and train them, and they're doing something wrong. I can make some small changes to them, can make all the difference in the world. So I remember one thing in particular. I gave lessons. I gave group lessons. I gave individual lessons. And I had this woman. She was a grandmother, and she started taking lessons with me. Brand new, never played tennis in her life. But her husband played tennis a lot. And I saw her husband play tennis, and I know he had a lot of mistakes in his strokes. So I told this woman, I said, you know what? I'll bet you that after X amount of time, you could play tennis. You're going to beat him in tennis. And I'm going to tell you how to beat him in tennis. So sure enough, went on, and she became a pretty good tennis player. And sure enough, she beat him because she was hitting correctly, and I could explain to her because when I just kind of like, you know, I'm no Bill Belichick, but just like Bill Belichick when he watches films, I would scout the other team. So if Worcester State was playing, I don't know, Assumption in tennis, I'd go out there. Well, I knew all the other tennis coaches. We would, you know, hang out together. So I would go out there and I would scout the other team, and I would see their strokes, and I would see what they liked to do and what they didn't like to do. So when I used to coach tennis players, what I would do, I would say, well, whatever they don't like, give them a ton of it. Whatever they like, avoid it. So if they had a killer forehand, feed the backhand. They had a killer backhand, feed the forehand. If they like coming to the net and volleying, you know, make them stay at the baseline. If they hate coming to the net, hit short shots, make them. So it's, again, like any sport or anything you play in life, what you want to do is you want to know what like Bill Belichick did. Bill Belichick used to say his axiom was, you know what, I'm going to find out what their strength is, and they're not going to beat us with that strength. We're not going to allow that. We have to triple team this guy. He's not going to beat us. We're going to take away their strength. So it was the same thing. It's the same thing with tennis or any sport. This may seem like a convoluted way of getting around it, but what you want to do is you want to eliminate all your bad habits first. So you have to ask yourself in the beginning exactly what habits don't I like? Okay, good example. Obviously, I'm a health coach. I'm also big into nutrition, and I had a client, and you know, a lot of people talk about no alcohol January or something, and there was a theory at one time, and I used to adhere to this theory. When I was a kid, I used to drink a lot. We used to have the joke was, let's go out and kill a bunch of brain cells. We used to go out and drink. And anyway, so what happens is, then they came out with a thing, 1 drink a day, they found out was actually good for you because it increased what caused all-cause mortality. You died less from other diseases. They did another study. They found out that actually that's not true because what happens, alcohol, what it does is secretes a toxin called acetaldehyde, which is damaging for your liver. That's why you get cirrhosis of the liver if you drink too much. So no amount of alcohol is good for you. So I had this one client, and when I sit down with the client, I basically say to them, well, you know, what do you want to accomplish? Well, you know what, I think I'm really drinking too much. I really need to cut back on this. And what happens is when you drink alcohol, it releases a neurotransmitter in your brain called dopamine. Dopamine is the feel good. Like people like to gamble, you know, they get a lot of dopamine release. So they gamble, drinking, cocaine, all that stuff. It makes you feel good, so you want to keep doing it. So if you drink all the time and you try to stop, it's very, very difficult because the problem is you're getting deficiency in that dopamine, that neurotransmitter that makes you feel good. I ran across, this goes a little bit into biochemistry, but the guy who won a Nobel Prize for something called the Krebs cycle. This is to do with the mitochondria, the powerhouse of the cell. I won't get into that. But he won the Nobel Prize for this, discovering exactly how you make ATP, which is your energy molecule. And he was brilliant, won the Nobel Prize. His son-in-law, Richard Veitch, he would say to him, he would say, you know, Dad, he said, you know, we could monetize this, like kind of like Shark Tank. We can make money on this, and by doing it. And Richard, nah, I don't want to do that. You know, I'm a scientist. I'm not a businessman. So after Hans Krebs died, Richard took off with the stuff, and he started making these things called exogenous ketones. That just means, you know, you guys probably heard of the ketogenic diet. You know, it's very popular now. Low carb, ketones, a lot cleaner fuel. The problem is most people have a hard time going without sweets for a while. So he developed something called exogenous ketones, which means you take the ketones from the outside and put you into a state of ketosis. They do this for people with epilepsy. This is well researched. In fact, there's a really good movie. It's called First Do No Harm with Meryl Streep. You can pick it up on YouTube. And the people that did it started something they call the Charlie Foundation, after their son Charlie, which had what they call drug-resistant epilepsy, go into seizures over and over again. No drug will take it off. They found out kind of by accident, the doctor didn't tell them, that what happens if you get into a state of ketosis, it actually will cure your epilepsy. Or at least, not medical advice, but this is well researched. Again, feel free to email me, philgeorge@charted.net. So ketones is really good for the brain, because now they're calling basically Alzheimer's type 3 diabetes, because sugar is very oxidative. It causes a lot of damage to the brain. Ketones is very clean burning, kind of like like a Tesla, clean burning fuel, or windmills and things like that. So they don't give off a lot of oxidants, which causes problems. So that's what they do, is they put people into ketosis, and they take it from the outside. That's all fine and good, but again, if you're getting that little buzz, you get that glass of wine at the end of the day, you had a hard day, you want 1 or 2 or 3 glasses of wine. So my client was really drinking a lot of wine and was getting a little bit worried. They were going on with it. So this Richard, this scientist, the grandson of Richard Veach. Richard Veach was the guy's name. Hans Krabs was his father-in-law. What he did is he started making these drinks, and what he did was with these drinks, he put in ketones, but he found a way to make something called keto alcohol. So it's not alcohol. It doesn't produce that toxin acetaldehyde, which is the bad for you. It's clean, but it does 2 things. They've done studies on this. So when you drink it, it puts you into a state of ketosis without you even having to fast. But what he liked, that keto alcohol gives you a buzz. It gives you that calming feeling that you like, but it doesn't do any brain damage. So you're getting the buzz that you like, that you miss, from drinking the alcohol. It produces the dopamine. It gives you that nice rush. And it's great. So, and again, what I did is I tried this out, because I told you I used to drink 1 beer a day right before my meal, and took the edge off, and that was good. But I really wanted to stop drinking, so I used it's called an N of 1 experiment. I'm going to experiment on myself and then see what happens. So I took this. It's like, and I used to drink beer. I never drank cocktails and stuff, no hard liquor. So what I did was I got it, and they had 2 flavors. They had something called ginger mule, so it's like a cocktail, and the other one is a pina colada. So I got them both, and I tried them, and I liked the ginger mule a little bit better. Some people may like the pina colada a little bit better. Tastes really, really good. No sugar in it. Doesn't raise your blood sugar. Doesn't raise your insulin. And what I found is I drank one of these. It's a relatively small, kind of about this big, maybe 8 ounces. But it has the ketones, has keto alcohol in it. And that was great. That was it for me. I basically stopped drinking. I stopped buying beer. I get that little bit of a buzz, but didn't do any toxins in my body. If they pulled you over for DWI, you're not going to be drunk anyway, but it's not going to show you have any alcohol in your system, because alcohol is, remember correctly, is ethyl alcohol. So this is an ethyl alcohol. So when I worked in the lab, when people came in with a DWI, I also worked in toxicology. I would take their blood. You probably heard of blood alcohol levels. If it's above a certain amount, you're got a DWI. So that's what I would do. I would take it. I would run it through what's called a spectrophotometer. Fancy word. It just means it looks at particular wavelengths that ethyl alcohol gives off. I would look at it and say, yeah, this person is legally drunk. The alcohol is this. If they were doing cocaine, I could pick up the cocaine. So this is what this particular machine picked up. So again, this isn't going to show up on anything. I don't want you to go out and binge drink on this stuff. But what I'm saying is, it's going to give you that little bit of a buzz, but it's also going to put you into ketosis. So that's the other thing. Okay, let's look at the next slide. I can cover a lot of stuff with this. I may do one whole thing. Let me see. Okay, so again, these are the neural pathways we talked about in terms of habits. Okay, next slide, Art. No. Okay, with the habits, it probably looks familiar. So what happens is with your brain, again, you're going to develop pathways in your brain. Again, it's going to be very, very easy. When you went out the last snowstorm, right? And the cars were driving, and they were putting paths in the snow. As you can see, those cars were following that pathway. You're not going to go off the pathway because that's the easiest way to go. So your brain is going to go into the path of least resistance, right? You're not going to go off the side. It's going to be more difficult to do. The path is already set, so you go into automatic pilot, automatically done. So you don't have to worry about it. That's one of the things you want to do in terms of again going through those particular pathways. So you want to develop healthy habits. Okay, good example. I just talked about the keto alcohol, the keto drink. So I go. One thing you want to do, basically, this book with James Clear. So what you want to do is you want to do the same thing over and over again. They found out the most difficult time to do this, but the most effective time to do this is in the morning when you first wake up. Because you wake up, you're foggy in the head. You're still thinking about what's going on. So what happens is what I do, and I think most people do. Well, you can do this now with a coffee maker, right? You can set it on a time. So if you get up at 7 in the morning, you could set it for 6:45. So you wake up, your coffee's ready to go. Okay, you're ready to go right off the top. And so you can do that. What I do when I wake up in the morning, I don't drink coffee anymore. But the first thing I do, I drink tea in the morning. So I have all my stuff out ahead of time, so I don't have to think about it. So I'm going to drink my tea in the morning. I'm going to go through a very specific routine. I do the same thing every single morning, and so I don't have to think about it. I do the same thing. Then what I'll do is I'll go. I drink. I'll get into this another thing. There's something called hydrogen infused water. This is a really interesting. It really helps your body. So I drink water, but I have hydrogen tablets I put inside of it. So that's automatic for me. My hydrogen tablets are right there on the counter. I don't have to think about it. I get my water. I put my hydrogen tablets inside the water. Then I already have my whole list of supplements I'm going to take for the day. I take a lot of supplements. So I research this stuff. I take a lot of supplements. One of them is a brain enhancing supplement. In fact, it's called Brain. So it's called. So what it does is it has something called choline in it. So choline, you have a neurotransmitter in your brain, and it's called acetylcholine. So it kind of makes your brain work better. So I take different supplements to do it. So what I'm doing is, so I've got my supplements there. The hydrogen water has to dissolve probably in about 2 to 3 minutes. You can't drink it right away because the tablet has to dissolve into the water to release the hydrogen gas, okay? But you can't let it go too long because the hydrogen gas gets into the air and you don't have as much hydrogen in the water. I'll do a whole thing on hydrogen infused water at some point in time. So and then what I do, okay, you with me so far? So I got my supplements, I got my hydrogen water, I'm ready to go. Then what I'll do, I'll walk into my computer room, I'll turn on my computer, get the computer warmed up. I'll do a bunch of stuff. I drink certain things. I do a little routine. I do in the same exact thing I'll do in my in my computer room. That takes me like 1 or 2 minutes to do. Automatic pilot. I'm not thinking. It's automatic, hardwired into my brain. I come back. By then, my hydrogen water is all ready to go, and I'm drinking that. I'm having my supplements. Then after that, I'll make my tea. I'll go back into the computer room. I'll go on there, and I start reading research papers and stuff like that. That's kind of a long-winded way, but that's my routine. So you can just build on this. You can do, and let's say I want to add something to that routine. Maybe I may add another supplement, but I'll put it in my supplement box. I already have it there. Maybe I found out a new supplement I want to start taking. I do the same thing before I eat. My supplements, my water, I do the same thing over and over again. I'm an automatic pilot. So the whole point of this, again, great book, Atomic Habits, James Clear. Great, my friend Coach Kane loved it. I mean, he says, and tennis, same thing. You do the same thing. People go in sports, they go through these rituals. Maybe like Larry Bird, before he shot a free throw, he'd bounce the ball 12 times. He'd do this, do that. You want to get into routines, rituals. Rituals are really, really important. It'll make your life a lot more successful. We're coming up to the end of the show. Give me a call. Email me, philgeorge@charter.net. If you have any questions, supplements, again, I can give you good examples on supplements. So we'll be back next week. If you want something covered specifically on the show, let me know. I'll do the topic on that. So thanks for tuning in, and we'll be back next week. One of the most common questions I'm asked as a biochemist and health coach is, what are the best supplements to take? Choosing supplements is a tricky business. Many companies have poor quality control and questionable ingredients. In the past, I had to send clients to several different websites. I am now able to offer one-stop shopping for all the quality brands I recommend, with no shipping cost and a lower price in most cases. Just email me, philgeorge@charter.net, for a free consult.